President Bola Tinubu receives Afenifere, wants those threatening Nigeria's sovereignty to stop.
Those that thought they can threaten the sovereignty of this country will have themselves to blame.
Federal government hints at reviewing agricultural laws in Nigeria.
All agencies that have laws, including laws that do not exist that we think are necessary, we are going to bring it on board.
2024 annual flood prediction. NEMA convenes stakeholders meeting to mitigate likely hazards.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall examine place of deputy governors in Nigerian democracy.
All right, so it's been reported several times that factors like ambition, mischief, activities of talebearers are some of the factors responsible for protracted or seemingly protracted crisis between governors and deputies. Well, the alleged mischief, let's take that now, could probably be seen in several motions to serve impeachment on the deputy governors. Victor?
Well, Claire, we have heard cases where such motions of impeachment were carried by less than the required members of parliament. For instance, the recent saga in Edo playing out with the State House of Assembly removing the state deputy governor, Philip Shaibu, and they were citing allegations of misconduct such as treason.
And several factors, Victor, and the vote to impeach Shaibu, of course, was presented by 18 members out of the 24-member State House of Assembly. Now, that followed consideration of a report of a 7-man panel that was set up by the Chief Judge of the State as required by the Constitution. That's Justice Daniel Okungbowa.
Well, it's not only an Edo thing, I tell you. Ondo, Imo, Anambra, Ekiti, Taraba, and Kogi, among others, have also had a taste of the bitter pill. In fact, there are probably, few states in the country where motions of impeachment have never been instituted.
Absolutely, absolutely. So many of them, even both current executive governors and past executive governors have all had, had their own taste of
that medicine.
Of medicine, if you may. And if you look at it from the political perspective, a rather obvious reason could also be wrangling for political power or succession. You know, when a deputy governor has an ambition to succeed his principal, meanwhile the principal has another anointed, son, that usually leads to conflict of interest and eventually prolonged animosity, which could and most times usually turn into violent clashes between supporters of both parties. Now, the case of Edo, as Victor mentioned currently, is a ready example. Ondo and Edo, I beg your pardon. Right.
I liked it when you said anointed son, because it's never been daughter. I stand with you on that. And since Nigeria's return to democracy in 1999, about 17 deputy governors have reportedly faced the axe across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, or with reported threats. In fact, there ought not to be any clash of interest between a governor and his deputy, because under the 1999 Constitution, as amended, the roles of both political leaders are clearly specified.
Absolutely. But just to also digress and respond to Victor, well, an anointed son, because it's always been the case. You rarely find governors, even when they have their a female deputy, anointing a female deputy as a successor. So we've not seen that. We are yet to see that, I should say, hopefully someday. But back to the Constitution section, we have, of course, different sections, but I think it's in chapter 6 or thereabout. 186 subsection 1, I hope we're right, states that no one can be a valid governorship candidate without a running mate. Now, if both succeed at the election, then they seem to be elected together as one. And if we go, down section 176 of the Constitution as amended, it also specifies that a state governor shall be the executive of that state, and section 193 again went on to indicate that the governor may, now this is probably where the lacuna is always situated. The section says the governor may in his discretion assign responsibilities to the deputy. So if this is clearly stated, I mean the rules of both executives have been clearly demarcated, delineated by the Constitution. One wonders, Victor, why the political ecosystem is, replete with governor, deputy governor squabbles, and the necessity for enhanced constitutional support for deputy governors. I mean, this is the case, isn't it?
Right. Sometimes I wonder if there's an unwritten section of the Constitution which says that a deputy governor cannot aspire to succeed his principal if he is not the anointed one. Yeah, because that's often
the major
at the heart of the squabbles.
I agree. And that's probably why a lot of people are saying, look, we probably may need to, again, rejig, the functions of the governor or the executive, because again, everybody has a right to an ambition. Every right has a right to an ambition.
But that's also
but because for you to the office of the governor is not vacant, but for some reasons that the Constitution had provided. So if you are serving as a deputy, it may also be seen, well, why are you running after me when the position is still there? Anyway, this is Good Morning Nigeria, and this will be our focus today on the program, and I'm glad you are here with us to go high on Good Morning Nigeria. I am Claire Adelabu Abdurrazak.
And I'm Victor Azu. Good to join Claire again. It's been a while. Good Morning Nigeria to welcome you. Of course, we're broadcasting live on the network service of the NTA. In a moment, we will begin with highlights of the morning news, and Olajide is standing by, but much later, there will be newspaper review. Good morning, Olajide Bello.
Good morning, Victor. Good morning, Claire. Good morning, Nigeria. And here's the morning news. Coming from the presidency is a stern warning that those who plan to threaten the sovereignty as well as unity of Nigeria will have themselves to blame. President Bola Tinubu was that assertive when he received leaders of Afenifere, a pan-Yoruba group, in the State House.
The case of Kuriga and many other kidnapped children is evident in the way we rescue them from Sokoto to Katsina to Kaduna and others, now more expeditiously than ever before. We are working hard on intelligent gathering and execution of our programs. Those that thought they can threaten the sovereignty of this country will have themselves to blame. They have a price to pay. And we are not going to relent.
The Tinubu administration remains committed to create an enabling environment for both local and foreign investors to thrive. Vice President Kashim Shettima Sitevez while playing host to a delegation from the Commonwealth Enterprise Investment Council led by CEO Rosie Glizabrook and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria.
That Nigeria is ready for business. My boss, President Bola will grow up in that ecosystem. And we are ready to create the enabling environment for businesses to prosper. And here in Nigeria, that's why the action is.
Also want to help showcase opportunities for investment into Nigeria and bring the best of the business community across the Commonwealth to showcase what Nigeria can offer in the investment area.
Operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in the early hours of Wednesday stormed the Abuja residence of the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, located in Wuse Zone 4, Abuja, for possible arrest into EFCC custody. In view of the 2024 annual climate predictions and flood outlook recently released by NICE and NIMET, the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA has convened a technical stakeholders meeting to analyze the predictions and come out with workable solutions that manage and mitigate the likely hazard of the impact. Director General of the agency, Mrs. Baida Omar, is confident that with the caliber of experienced people in their different field of endeavors converging to deliberate on the situation, flood mitigation will receive maximum attention.
Early warning message, which shall be developed in collaboration with stakeholders here, will help to prepare states' chief executives, state emergency management agencies, local emergency management agencies, and other stakeholders to take necessary action required to facilitate risk reduction in their respective jurisdictions.
The federal government is planning a review of laws guiding the practice of agriculture in the country. This is in furtherance of its quest to reposition the sector for optimal contribution to Nigeria's gross domestic product. Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Sabi Ali Abdullahi, dropped the hint while inaugurating the 6th Council of the Nigerian Institute of Animal Science.
What better time do we have to review all laws in the agricultural sector than now? And I think it is part of what we have brought out as our focal areas last year when we spoke to the world, sometimes in October, I guess, that this is what we intend to do over the next couple of years. So all agencies that have laws, including laws that do not exist that we think are necessary, we are going to bring it on board so that we will take a look at it and do the needful.
Towards HIV and AIDS-free society by the year 2030, Centers for Disease Control from across Nigeria and other development partners are meeting in Abuja at the 4th biannual stakeholders engagement to take stock and re-strategize towards meeting the target.
Responses, there's need to have epidemic control of HIV by the year 2030, and then of course there's this global target of 95, 95, 95, saying that at least 95% of the general population should know their HIV status. 95% of that population should be able to, access medication, and 95% of them should at least have a good viral load control. That is, should have the disorders or diseases under control. So we're trying to achieve this target even here in Nigeria.
And those are the news highlights for now. Good morning, Nigeria continues with Victor and Claire after this break. Don't go away.